Hello and welcome to Elecspo, and today it's time for the most basic bitch experiment of them all. I am giving a non-league club £1 billion. But because it's Christmas and I'm feeling extra generous, I'm actually going to give £1 billion to two clubs. I mean, it's not my money, it's not really that kind to be honest with you, but I'm going to pick a team from the Vanarama National League North and a team from the Vanarama National League South. Blyth Sparatans and Slough, is it Slough Town or Slough United? Either way, it's Slough, where David Brent's from The Office, the real Office. But what I'm going to do today in this three-part series, we're going to do 10 years of part 1. We will see which team climbs the divisions the fastest. Will it be Blyth or will it be Slough? Will it be the North or will it be the South? How far can £1 billion take these two clubs? Let's dive into the simulation and see how they both get on. Right, here we are, the Vanarama National League North. It is the start of the season, and here are our two rich clubs. Here is Blyth Sparatans. Have a little look at their club details just to confirm there. £1 billion, front end sugar daddy. And then in the Vanarama National League Slough, we have got Slough. That's not Slough. Don't know what happened there. Slough Town. So I was wrong, it was Town. And they too have got £1 billion and a front end sugar daddy. But which team will do the best the quickest? Let's do 1 year, first things first. We'll get through the first year where probably both teams won't really spend any kind of cash, but we'll see if any of them can do anything in their respective leagues. Let's go a year into the future, let's see what happens. Right, here we are a year into the future. We will start with the Vanarama National League North, and Blyth Sparatans have came 16, so there's no promotion there in the first season, which is, I mean, it was to be expected. The first year is never really a great reflection when you've got money involved. What about the National League South? Well, Slough Town have finished 18th, so they haven't done very well either. If anything, they've done actually a lot worse. They were only 2 points away from going down, even further down the football ladder. But they've made a fair few signings, a lot of bodies coming into the club, so things should maybe start to change for Slough Town. And what about Blyth? Well, they too have been busy. They've been bringing in a few players as well, and no doubt more will be arriving over the summer transfer window. I mean, to be honest, I don't expect them to be spending huge amounts of transfer fees, but it's probably the wages that'll go up. They'll be able to attract, maybe League 2 players, get them in on a fairly decent contract, much better than what other clubs around them are going to be paying, and then eventually, you'd like to think by the time we get the Championship maybe, which is obviously part of the dream, that's when they'll start to be really splashing the cash. But after one season, neither team's done anything, and if anything, Slough have actually got worse. But it's alright because there's better times to come. I'm now going to go until 2026. That'll have been 5 years of this money. We're going to go 10 years throughout this first part of this simulation. But let's go to 2026 now, 4 years into the future, 5 years of having £1 billion. And by then, we should start to be seeing some progress. Will we though? Let's find out. Right, here we are, the 11th of June 2026, 4 more years into the future, 5 years of the £1 billion being given to these two non-league clubs. We will start with Blyth Sparatans, who have just finished first in the Vanarama National League. So they haven't actually made a lot of progress. They've slowly and steadily got a little bit better. In the second season they came 7th, then they won promotion from the Vanarama National League North, coming 4th. In their first season in the National League, 15th place, and in the most recent campaign they have came top of the pops, going up automatically. It was a pretty tight run affair. They were only a point above Southend United, but it was Blyth who have gone up. Jake Wakeling, the top goal scorer, Joe Lolly, the best player. That's a big player actually, Joe Lolly there. Let's check him out immediately. 33 years old, but I mean, a strong Championship player, playing for Blyth, £7.5 grand, well £7.25 grand a week. Arrived on a free from Nottingham Forest, and he's been really good in the Vanarama National League. But it's taken 5 years for Blyth to get out of non-league and get into the Football League. You'll notice that Slough Town are not in the Vanarama National League. That's because they are much higher up the footballing ladder. That's because they are in Sky Bet League 2, but they are going up to Sky Bet League 1. They have won promotion automatically, coming 3rd, 88 points. They were only 2 points off the title, but they'll be joining Swindon, Wimbledon and Leyton Orient in next season's Sky Bet League 1. So they're going up to the 3rd tier of English football. In terms of the stats, you've got there Mundell, he's the second best player in the division, 13 assists. On a free from Tottenham Hotspur. That looks like it's been a really good a good signing actually, just some young kid. But let's look at each team in a little bit more detail. We will go and look at Blyth Sparatans first. So they've got a fairly big name as captain, Max Power, 32 years old, 24.5 grand a week, former Sunderland midfielder no less. Well, he arrived on a free in 2023, and he hasn't been that good, to be honest with you, considering this is a guy who's a fairly solid League One midfielder, but now he's playing in the National League, and he's actually going to be going even further up the table to Sky Bet League 2. Let's have a little look at the players, see if there's any other big names that stick out. Obviously, we know they've got Joe Lolly. There's no other names sticking out for us there, but let's have a little look at the contract info. Obviously, we know Max Power's earning big money, and he's the biggest earner. Then you've got a handful of players also earning more than 10 grand a week. It's big money for the Vanarama National League. Transfers, as I expected, really, they haven't spent much, but it's all really going in the wages. Probably a bit of infrastructure as well. Probably being sensible with it, which is what you should be doing with this money. You can't just be spunking it all on, I don't know, Julian Draxler. We're not mental. I mean, you can see there the most money spent, 16 grand. It's nothing really getting a player from Barnet, but in the years to come, the more they climb the divisions, the more money will be spent. But let's compare those wages. Let's compare them to Boreham Wood, the other team going up. They're managed by Chris Basham, which is interesting. So their highest earner is only earning £1,300. I mean, that's absolute buttons compared to what Blyth are playing. Let's have a little look at the second place team in the division, Southend United. See what money they're pumping out. A bit more, but still not much. £4,300, and that's a loanee. The player who's actually theirs, £3,000 is their highest earner. It just shows what a difference it's going to make to Blyth that can pay these big wages. But so far, after 5 years, they've only achieved 2 promotions. 2 promotions out of 5 years. I mean, I suppose it's not bad actually. They're going up to League 2, and they won't be joined there by Slough Town because they are going up to the 3rd tier. They've got a big time captain, well, relatively big time, Danny Bath, former Wolves defender. He's only earning 2.5 grand a week. Coming from the Championship though, actually he hasn't really played at all during the simulation, but when he got to Slough, pretty good. Let's check what their biggest wage is. Wow, it is big. It is Mark Gillespie, the current Newcastle United number 3 goalkeeper. He's earning £44,500 a week. Then you've got Callum Maycock, just shy of 30 grand. Hugo Bueno, just shy of 30 grand. Adam Reach, he's a fairly big name there, 14 grand. Tom Bradshaw, he's a high profile player. Adam Forshaw, Danny Bath, the previously mentioned. Kane Ramsey from... where's Kane Ramsey playing? Southampton, that's where he's from. But he's doing quite well. He cost them 160 grand. But Mark Gillespie, the biggest, big earner, £44,500 a week on a free. Left Norwich City, I mean, got 1 Premier League appearance in this simulation. Came to Slough in League 2, and he's been excellent. Probably the best season of his career ever. And he is going up to League 1. Let's check the transfers out just to confirm. Again, not real any money being spent. Their biggest spend overall is 170 grand, 160 of it going on the aforementioned Kane Ramsey. They've also got Ryan Edmondson. Is that not a young lad? Is he not the one who's currently at Leeds? It is. And he got 13 goals, so I mean there's room for improvement, but still he's got double figures. That's still pretty good. Let's compare Slough Town's wages to their competitors. Swindon Town going up as the champions, 2 points ahead, and again the money is absolutely nothing. I mean, this is similar money what was getting paid in non-league. Josh McPake, the top earner, on £2,600. I mean, that's loads less than what Blyth are paying. Compare that to Slough Town, it's absolutely nothing. But after 5 years, Slough have achieved 3 promotions. Meanwhile, little old Blyth have only got 2, so it's going much better for the Southerners than it is for the Northerners. But both teams are going in the right direction. They're both in the Football League. it's just Slough Town are a little bit higher than the old Spartans. So let's do it now. Let's go another 5 years into the future. We'll go to 2031, and by then I'd like to think both teams will be in the championship, but will they? Let's find out. Right, here we are, the 10th of June 2031, 10 years of this experiment, and we start in the Vanarama National League, because that is where Blyth Sparatans still are, but they have just lost the playoff final. A huge derby in the playoff final. They lost 2-0 to Gateshead, meaning they are going up to Sky Bet League 2. As for Blyth, what's been going on with them over the past few years? Over the past 5 years, they did make it up to League 2, but they were relegated. They won the National League in 2026, as we know. They survived their first season, Season 2, 2028, rock bottom of League 2. And now they have spent 3 consecutive years in the National League without achieving promotion, beaten in the final of the playoff, meaning it's once again going to be non-league football for Blyth Sparatans. That's despite being given £1 billion 10 years ago, basically to the day. Transfers, let's have a little look. I mean, they probably broke their transfer record here. 190 grand on Mick Belston. I'll tell you what, let's just focus on the wages. They've got Daniel Barlaser, ex-Newcastle midfielder. The big earner, George Hurst, 26 grand. They've got 3 players earning more than 20 grand. A lot, I mean, most of the players there, I mean, look how many players there earning more than £10,000. And most of the teams earning at least £1,000. They've got Tom Carroll, little Tom Carroll. But for Blyth Sparatans, this money just hasn't really, I mean, yes, it's gone well for them that they've got to the non-league and they did make it to League 2, but I mean, they haven't really sustained anything. They've briefly had Fabian Delph as manager, then they've had Graham Alexander, and now it is Mark Bonner calling the shots. But they are still languishing in non-league. But while Blyth are struggling, how are Slough Town getting on? Let's go up the divisions, let's see where they are. Are they in League 2? They are not. They are not in League 2. Last time we saw them, they were going up to League 1. Are they in League 1? Let's have a little look. I can't see them. Doesn't look like they're there either. Possibly the Championship. I was hoping one team would be in the Championship, but obviously Blyth have let us down. But what about Slough Town? Yes, they have done it. They are a Championship team in 2031. While Blyth are still in non-league, Slough are 3 divisions ahead of them. They are playing in the Championship alongside Crystal Palace, alongside Sunderland, Nottingham Forest, Brighton, Derby, Norwich. Big clubs, whilst Blyth are beaten in the playoff final by Gateshead. Bloody Gateshead, man. Let's check Slough out. They are managed by Danny Cowley. They are captained by Charlie Patino. I think he's an Arsenal youngster. I'm going to check him out. He's earning £41,000. And he's been a great player for Slough. You can see here just from his trajectory, they got to the Championship in 2028. They were relegated in their first season there, but they came straight back up. And in this season, they have came 13th in the league. Let's have a little look at who they've had as managers. Well, Neil Baker left on the 1st of April 2027, and since then it's been Danny Cowley, and Danny Cowley was the man to get them up to the Championship. Let's check the players out. Let's see what the wages are. They are paying £80,000 a week to Callum Kavanagh. Alfie Dorrington there, £76,000. Another player, 75 grand, 68 grand. The wages are just absolutely huge at Slough. And as I predicted, my prediction was that the transfers would start going up once they got to the Championship. Is that the case? It most certainly is. In their most recent season, £26.5 million spent. The big signing being Micah Beereth from Cardiff, 6 million, potentially rising to 7.25. You can see as they've gone through the divisions, their transfer fees has started to go up because it's not really worth, there's no one to spend the big money on at the start of the simulation. You can just fork that money out on wages and just watch you climb the divisions. They even had Robin Koch at one point, which is quite a big deal. Obviously we haven't seen much of him at Leeds this season, I believe due to injury, because I mean that's just what's happened to every Leeds player. But after 10 years, Slough have made it to the Championship, and they've just had a very solid season in the second tier. Solidly mid-table, no danger of relegation, no real challenge on the playoff positions. But they're in a good place when we look at part 2, when we go another 10 years into the future. But things aren't going as well for Blyth Sparatans. For Blyth to still be a non-league is quite frankly, I mean, it's laughable. How can they still be a non-league team? Let's have a look at the table. See how close they were to promotion. 6 points behind the champions Boston. Just draws are costing them. And they are going to be staying in non-league. After 10 years and £1 billion, all Blyth have got to show for it is one promotion. Yes, they did make it up to League 2, but they came straight back down basically. And they are sitting still outside of the Football League. Meanwhile, Slough Town, all they need is probably a couple of good seasons, maybe it's even just one good transfer window, and they could be a Premier League team. Even though both of these teams got exactly the same money, they have had completely different trajectories. But how will things go in the next 10 years? There is still more to come from this experiment. There is still more to come from both of these teams. Slough are playing at Vicarage Road. How strange. Maybe they're getting a new stadium built. There must be. Otherwise, why would they be playing at Vicarage Road? But what will happen in the next 10 years? You will have to wait until part 2 to find out. But we're going to leave it there. Slough in the Championship, Blyth in non-league. It's going great for Slough. It's going terrible for Blyth. But we will leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Elecspo. And until next time, we will see you around.